Imagine your kid's first plane ride. Her eyes lit up with wonder, only for a flight attendant to sneer that she doesn't deserve a meal because she's disabled. That's what happened to my daughter, Sophie, on a flight from Chicago to Seattle, when a woman named Brenda decided my 8-year-old wasn't first-class material. What Brenda didn't know was that I, Laura Bennett, run the company that puts every bite of food on that plane, and by the time we landed, her career was toast. I'm a single mom, CEO of Bennett Foods, a catering giant that supplies meals for dozens of airlines. It's a high-stakes job, but nothing matters more than Sophie, my little girl who's been fighting spina bifida since the day she was born. She uses a wheelchair, speaks with a slight tremor, but her smile could light up a storm. She's curious, brave, and sees the world with a kind of joy that humbles me. That trip was her first time flying, a big deal to visit her grandma, and I booked first-class seats on a 6-hour flight to make it comfortable. Extra space for her chair, better service for her needs. "Mom, are we going to eat in the sky?" she asked, practically bouncing as we boarded, her voice bubbling with excitement. "You bet, kiddo," I said, tucking her blanket around her. "We'll have the best food up there." I thought it'd be a memory we'd cherish forever. I was wrong. The trouble started an hour in, when the plane hit cruising altitude, and Sophie's stomach growled. "I'm hungry, Mom," she said, her eyes wide with anticipation for airplane food. I hit the call button, expecting a quick menu. Instead, we got Brenda Walsh, a flight attendant in her 50s with a tight bun and a scowl like she'd bitten a lemon. Her name tag gleamed, but her attitude was pure frost. "What do you want?" she snapped, barely glancing at Sophie, her gaze lingering on the folded wheelchair stowed beside us. I kept my tone polite. "Could we see the first-class menu, please? My daughter's ready to eat." Brenda's eyes flicked to Sophie, taking in her trembling hands, the way she leaned slightly in her seat, and her face twisted like she'd smelled something bad. "First-class meals aren't for everyone," she said, her voice cold as steel. "Special cases like her might be better off with snacks from economy. Less mess." I felt my pulse spike, but I held it together, years of boardroom battles teaching me to stay calm. "We paid for first-class service," I said, "and we'd like the menu." Brenda leaned in, lowering her voice but loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "Look, ma'am, these meals are pricey, and kids like her, well, they don't exactly savor fine dining. I've seen it before. Parents drag their special needs kids up here, expecting us to babysit, but this isn't a charity flight." A guy in a suit 2 rows up, stopped typing, his jaw tight. A mom with her teenage daughter behind us gasped. Sophie tugged my sleeve, her voice small. "Mom, why can't I have the food? Did I do something bad?" My heart cracked, seeing her excitement crumble into confusion. "It's okay, sweetie," I said, stroking her hair. My eyes locked on Brenda. "You didn't do anything wrong." I turned to the flight attendant, my voice sharper now. "My daughter has every right to the same service as anyone else here. Get us the menu." Brenda rolled her eyes, like I was some entitled nuisance. "I've been doing this 20 years, lady. I know what's best. Trust me, you don't want her spilling sauce all over herself and making a scene." Sophie's lip quivered, tears pooling. "I just wanted to try it, Mom." The suit guy stood up, his voice calm but firm. "That's out of line. She's a kid asking for food." An older woman across the aisle, knitting a scarf, chimed in. "Young lady, you're being cruel to a child." Brenda spun on her. "Mind your business, ma'am. I'm keeping things orderly." The cabin was buzzing now, passengers whispering, staring. Brenda doubled down, her voice dripping with condescension. "Some folks need to learn their place. First class is for people who can handle it, not kids who need help just to eat." That's when Sophie started crying, soft sobs that cut deeper than any insult. She'd been so excited, talking for weeks about this flight, and now this woman was tearing her down. I'd had enough. "I want your supervisor now," I said, my tone ice cold. Brenda smirked. "Supervisor's busy. My call stands, no meal for her." She thought she'd won. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I pulled out my phone, dialed a number I knew by heart, and spoke clearly. "This is Laura Bennett, CEO of Bennett Foods. Get me Captain Ellison on Flight 312, Chicago to Seattle. It's urgent." Brenda's smirk faltered, but she scoffed. "Nice try. People fake big titles all the time to bully crew. I know policy better than you, and I run this cabin." She turned to the other passengers, playing the victim. "Sorry for the drama, folks. Some parents think they can throw around fake clout to get special treatment for their kids." The older woman, still knitting, shook her head. "I've flown 40 years, and I've never seen anything this shameful." Brenda snapped back. "You don't get how hard it is dealing with problem passengers." 2 minutes later, the cockpit door swung open, and Captain Ellison, a tall guy in his 60s with a no-nonsense vibe, strode down the aisle. "Ms. Bennett," he said, shaking my hand. "What's the issue?" Brenda's face drained of color, her bravado gone. I laid it out, my voice steady but burning. "Your flight attendant refused to serve my disabled daughter a first-class meal. Said she doesn't deserve it. Called her a special case who'd make a mess. She told us to know our place. Insulted my daughter's abilities, and dismissed other passengers who spoke up." Sophie, still sniffling, looked up at the captain. "I just wanted to eat, sir." The captain knelt beside her, his face softening. "Hey, Sophie, I'm so sorry. We're gonna fix this. Okay?" He stood, turning to Brenda, his eyes like steel. "Is this true?" Brenda fumbled, her voice shaky. I thought it'd be easier, Captain. Kids like her, they struggle with fancy meals, and I didn't want a mess." Ellison cut her off. "You thought a paying passenger doesn't deserve service because she's disabled?" Brenda backpedaled. "No, I just meant the presentation's complex. And enough," he said, his voice a whip. "You violated policy, federal law, and basic decency." The suit guy spoke up. "She said disabled kids should know their place, Captain." Exact words. The mom behind us nodded. She called them a charity case, not real passengers. Ellison's jaw tightened. "Ms. Bennett, there's more you should know. My company supplies every meal on this flight. Your employee just humiliated my daughter over food I provided." The captain's eyes widened. Bennett Foods is a titan in airline catering, and he knew the weight of that name. "Ms. Bennett, I'm horrified. This ends now." He faced Brenda, his tone final. "You're suspended, effective immediately. Stay in the galley, don't speak to passengers. Security meets you when we land." Brenda's face crumpled, desperation kicking in. "You can't do this mid-flight. I have rights. I was managing expectations." Ellison didn't blink. "Your job is to serve every passenger with respect. You chose to discriminate against a child. You're done." Passengers clapped, the sound swelling, a wave of support washing over us. Sophie, wiping her eyes, whispered, "Mom, is it okay now?" I hugged her tight. "Yeah, sweetie. You're getting the best meal on this plane." Ellison didn't just stop there. He knelt by Sophie again, smiling. "I'm the captain, Sophie. Want to see the cockpit later? I'll show you how we steer through the clouds." Her face lit up, tears forgotten. "Really? Can I talk to the sky?" He laughed. "You bet." The other flight attendants, mortified by Brenda, went all out, bringing Sophie a fancy chicken pasta, extra chocolate cake, even a little pilot's hat. The older woman, Margaret, shared stories of her travels as a nurse. The teenage girl, Chloe, played games with Sophie on her phone. The suit guy, Tom, gave her his airline wings pin, saying, "You're braver than most folks up here." Sophie ate her meal, giggling, the magic of her first flight restored. I watched, my heart full, knowing strangers had turned a nightmare into something beautiful. Before landing, Ellison made an announcement over the intercom. "Folks, I apologize for an incident today. One of our crew failed to treat a passenger, a brave young girl named Sophie, with the respect she deserves. She handled it with more grace than most, and I'm proud to have her on board." The cabin erupted in applause, Sophie waving shyly, her smile back. As we deplaned, security escorted Brenda off, her head down, passengers whispering as she shuffled through the jet bridge, her career in ruins. But I wasn't done. Back home, I unleashed my legal team, experts in disability rights, to hit Brenda with lawsuits for violating federal anti-discrimination laws. The airline fired her, no severance, no defense from her union. She was blacklisted from the industry and faced potential criminal charges for civil rights violations. The story didn't end there. I shared Sophie's experience online, not to drag Brenda, but to shine a light on how people with disabilities are too often treated as less than. The video of Sophie's courage and Ellison's response went viral, racking up millions of views, sparking talks about inclusion. Airlines rolled out mandatory training on serving disabled passengers, and several reached out to my foundation, offering free flights for families like ours. Captain Ellison got a commendation. The other flight attendants were recognized, and Margaret, the older woman, started a fund to help kids with disabilities take their first flights, inspired by Sophie's spirit. Sophie keeps Tom's Wings pin on her wall, telling everyone about her sky adventure. Not Brenda's cruelty, but the kindness of strangers who made her feel seen. Months later, Sophie looked at that pin and said, "Mom, I want to be a pilot someday, so every kid feels welcome in the clouds." Her words hit me deep, a reminder that one person's hate can't outshine a community's heart. But it leaves a question: was Brenda just a bad apple, or do systems like airlines with their rigid rules let people like her thrive? Can training fix that, or do we need bigger change? Drop your thoughts below. Have you seen someone judged unfairly because of a disability? Share this if Sophie's story moved you, and let's keep pushing for a world where kindness wins. Because for me, seeing my girl smile again, that's the real victory. But I'll keep fighting to make sure no kid feels less than in the sky.